Hey everyone, welcome back to Google Workspace Recap, your number one source for everything Workspace by the tabGeeks Network. My name is Jesse Nolan, my co-host is Steve Larson, and we're here to help you keep up. Over Passover, I was offline a lot, and I had the chance to catch up on some reading, and I absolutely tore through Losing the Signal, which is the story of the epic rise and eventual fall of BlackBerry. They changed how we communicate and not only got blindsided by Apple and Google, they completely refused to believe that this is the future that people would want. Now, I loved my Crackberries and had many different models over the years, including the touchscreen Storm Slider, I believe it was called. And the design was getting better, but the OS was just trash at that point. This book goes behind the scenes, and now I know why their OS was so terrible towards the end there. If you're anything like me, I recommend not only reading the book, but there's a movie coming out. It's called BlackBerry. Duh. It releases May 12th. The trailer's in the description. No, this isn't sponsored. I'm just super nerding out on, the crazy story behind BlackBerry here, and the movie looks amazing. So go and check that out. Steve, what about you? Were you a BlackBerry user?
Oh yeah. I definitely had my fair share of favorite. I don't know. I mean, I think I had one of the. I'm trying to think what one of the last versions that I had was. I'm trying to even think because it's been ages. I remember the 2007 is when I had some devices.
Yeah.
I think I might have had one of the more modern ones. Maybe like the Q5 or something like that. Maybe the Q10. I might have used it. Mm-hmm. But now I'm trying to think which the Curve. I think that's what I had.
Yeah.
I think that's the one that, I'm trying to think of the names now. The BlackBerry
Curve was very
is one that I used a lot. Yeah.
So I was going through like a list of the best BlackBerries out there. And the Torch is the one I had, the Torch Slider, not the Storm. But I was like going back, seeing trying to remember which one was my first BlackBerry. And the first one I had was the 6210 back. It came out in 2003, but I got it a couple years later, I think, because I was just getting into it. And then I upgraded to the color screen 7290, and then I skipped the 7100. I didn't want the as narrow a form factor. Then I was very excited about the 8700, which was the fatter, bolder, and newer, better color screen. Then I got the Pearl because I was like, all right, I'll give this new camera and tiny little form factor a try. And then I dumped that for the Curve in a hot minute. I remember that. And then I had the Pearl Flip because I really wanted a flip phone. And then when the Bold came out, I was like, all right, back to the wider format. And I'll throw all these up on the screen over here so that everybody can see. And the Storm, I did try in a store. That was the one with the single click touch screen. I don't know if you ever tried that one. They're like, everybody's going to want your touches to be tactile and not just, vibrating. And so they made the entire touchscreen a button. And like you'd get to the edges of the screen, the keyboard just wouldn't pick up your tabs, and it was right. Bad. And then I had the BlackBerry Tour, which was not, I don't think it was touchscreen at that point. And the Bold, and then I think at that point I had moved over. Oh, I had the Torch. That's right, it was my final one that launched in 2010, and I never got the BlackBerries after that. I did play with the Bold Touch and hated it. I did like the BlackBerry style, which was the next generation flip phone they did, but again, the OS was so bad by that point. I had moved over to Android, and that was what pretty much everybody did. Moved over to iPhone or Android, and the last one I played with was actually not even a true BlackBerry. It was a TCL.
Did you try any of the Android BlackBerries?
So that's the one that I tried. Was the BlackBerry Key 1, which was made by TCL but licensed from BlackBerry. So it was official BlackBerry hardware, but made by somebody else. And I liked it. I actually convinced my mother to get one because she loved her BlackBerries, and I wanted a newer phone, but still wanted the keyboard. And so I was like, all right, this looks pretty cool, and tried it out. It wasn't wasn't the same. Honestly, it didn't have the same experience, but it did have a lot of the cool, a lot of cool kind of innovative features with the keyboard where the keys themselves were touch sensitive. So you could swipe over the keys to be able to navigate on the screen as you used to be able to do with the touchpad that came on the Bold. And I forget what year that one showed up, but you could do a lot of keyboard shortcuts just by swiping on the keys without touching them, which was, or without pushing down on them, which was pretty cool. And that was it. I haven't gotten anything else from BlackBerry, and I mean I'm on iPhone now, as anybody who listens to the show will know. But at the time, I was on Android for quite a few years there. but I do miss my Crackberry. I think I have a curve around here somewhere. I have like behind the books here. I have some of the museum of phones, the archived devices. I gotta pull one of those out for just for old time's sake. See if I can still power it up. I love those. Oh well, end of an era, I suppose. We have a hell of a show today.
Yeah, we got a few more updates than we have had in recent weeks. Just a couple extra.
Mm-hmm.
And then, as usual, a massive list of news articles here. I don't even know where to begin with the news articles this week here. It's excessive. Jeez. I know throughout the week you were just posting pretty much every day.
Yeah. Every day that I was online.
It's a lot.
Well, it's only 10, but I had put in some additional sub articles to support the main article because, Engadget has some good things to say, and The Verge has some good things to say, and 9to5 Google has some good things to say. So it's good to, and one of them they're all based on the New York Times article that I actually didn't read because I don't have a Times subscription. So
I thought you said you knew someone that had one.
I do. I have to get it from her. She hasn't shared it with me yet. So.
Got it. They don't. Oh, you can't do the sharing links with Wall Street Journal articles.
You can, but I would have had to have asked her.
You just got to ask you to ask. Okay,
yeah.
Got it.
I got to remember to do that so that I can read those articles because they've had some good ones, especially on Google. But Google, we'll get into it. But Google PR has been on a tear lately, so playing catch up.
Well, so we'll go through those updates. There were 9 announced last week. And then a little silent one there, just a little reminder. Seems to be a few Drive for desktop updates that we didn't talk about, but they're just little minor updates. I don't know if I check this article every week, so I don't know how we might have missed this, but version 72 and 73 came out over the last few weeks in March. And then, as you said, a lot of news articles to go through. So let's rattle these headlines off here and get through those, give you an idea of what we'll be talking about in this episode. So first, a little reminder in the end of week recap post was that Google Calendar and Assistant Reminders will migrate to tasks soon. First update that we had last week was the improved search results with personalization boost and click boost for those cloud search users. You can now enable organizational communication with announcements in Google Chat. And they made that a separate post, and then they also mentioned it in another update. So they kind of, I think they mentioned that twice, I think, this week. And then you can, there's new collaboration flexibility features in Google Sites. You can fine-tune access to data with additional options for access approvals. There's practice sets in Google Classroom now generally available. There's some streamlined file organization with a new Google Drive location picker. And then there are some new community features for Google Chat and an update on currents. So that's kind of where the chat announcements also got mentioned in that post as well. You can now set the default label values for files in Google Drive. So this is kind of an additional feature that complements the existing kind of DLP functionality. And then you can also communicate better with modernized Google Chat. And I was looking through that article, and I'm not noticing anything different. Maybe it's just, I don't know, Jess, if you have a look at that article there, the post, before we get to it, see if there's anything you notice different in the design. I couldn't.
Well, at the moment, I'm realizing it's not. That last one, communicate better with a modernized Google Chat, is not in the recap post.
Oh, it's not? Oh,
No.
yeah. Well, that's interesting.
Oops.
So, oh, yeah, right. And it's not on the recap post, but it was announced.
It's on the blog, April 13th.
Yeah. Interesting. That was Thursday the 13th. Yeah, exactly. Another weird thing that we noticed on the recap post is that all of the previous announcements text is in super tiny font. Not the same as the rest of them. Yep. All And then, yeah, I think we did say communicate better. There was the last one. Talked about the drive for desktop updates. Version 72 and 73 came out. Really, all it says is that there's additional bug fixes and performance improvements there. So nothing worth noting on those. So you should be on version 73 right now. And then in terms of the other news relating to Google, we have a 9 to 5 article here about Google Bard gets experiment updates change log. And The Verge is talking about Google Chat getting a new look to match Docs, Sheets, and Gmail. So that is just what we're talking about there. And the material design that 9 to 5 is also talking about for the same thing.
I think that maybe you and I aren't really seeing anything different, because this is the design that we've been seeing in the blog posts and videos that they've done about basically about what this is going to look like. I'm trying to compare it to what I have currently, and nope, mine is still a little bit too boxy in certain areas. So I guess, or maybe just on this account, I don't have it yet. Check over on my other account. I don't know. Go on.
Yeah. So I don't know. I mean, to me, it looks the same, but maybe it's just so subtle that we're not really noticing too much.
Possibly. Now, keep in mind, this is chat, so it's not Gmail. It's chat.google.com.
Yeah. True.
And I usually use the PWA.
Same. All right. Next, we have a YouTube video here about Katie Couric hosting Future Ready by Think with Google. So seems like an interesting one there. There is also another YouTube video here about the software supply chain song, I'm Going to Production.
Google's doubling down on the songs after we did our rap. They've outdone us once again.
Yeah. There is a GCC post here about the Google Chat user love survey. And hear about the experience. I think I'll definitely be filling that one out.
You're
also, yeah.
I was going to say you're in the rare. What's the term I'm looking for? You're in the
minority.
Minority on your opinion here, I think. Yeah. Also, I think you don't have a choice, but you should definitely give feedback anyway.
Chrome Unboxed article talking about CTL launching a next-gen Chromebook CBX3 with 13th gen Intel i7 processors there. A Bleeping Computer article here about the Google Chrome emergency update fixes, some 0 days for 2023. Got a lot of different sites here. This is Cyberscoop talking about the nation-state actors are taking advantage of weak passwords to go after cloud customers, Google says. Yep. 9 to 5 talking about AI coming soon to Google Search with Maggie, as Samsung considers Bing as their default. And then a few supporting articles from Engadget and The Verge there on that same topic. And then 60 Minutes is talking about the AI revolution and how Google's developers are on the future of artificial intelligence.
I don't think Google has ever been on 60 Minutes, so that's a pretty monumental one there.
Yeah, I was trying to look at the history of 60 Minutes, and there's a lot of seasons and episodes to filter through. So
they've been doing it for decades.
Not quite sure. Yeah, the 60s, I think, is when I started. 63?
68.
When it started. 68? Okay, close in the 60s, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And so, that gives us the agenda for today. We'll kick things off with that reminder that Google Calendar and Assistant reminders will migrate to Google Tasks. So you might need a reminder for that one. So that is going to be, it's coming to users already in terms of an optional migration. And starting May 22nd, they'll automatically be migrated to Tasks for users that have not already migrated.
Not gonna lie here. I stopped paying attention to tasks in Google Workspace.
Yeah.
I moved over to
I like
ClickUp.
them.
I love it. What can I say?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's great.
No. Okay.
Blows a sauna out of the water, I'll tell you that much.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, they basically give so many more features for a much better price or even a similar price. And it's just pretty much a better platform across the board. There are some tweaks that I would like to see, but basically it looks like they're making all of those tweaks in the new 3.0 version of their platform, which is coming out shortly. So yeah, Google seems to be trying to make it a project management, task management platform, and they're thinking too small. I don't know why,
Yeah.
but maybe when they finish all of these migrations, they can flip the switch on some magical new platform they've been building behind the scenes, and they had to wait until these are migrated. I don't know.
Who knows? All right. Next update is for our cloud search friends out there. Some improved search results with personalization boost and click boost. So this is just going to highlight documents that users have clicked on more towards the top of their search results, either that have been clicked on by the user in the past or clicked on by other users for similar queries. So those will rank higher in the search results for that use case. That is available now for all cloud search customers and just available to those that are using it. Next is the ability to, or the enabling of organizational communication with announcements, Google Chat. So this is a way to create a space for announcements only. So it allows just those space managers to post in that space. And this is something that just gives you some more ways to use spaces for certain use cases. And it needs to be configured upon creation. So just like the external participants and external users in a space needs to be configured upon creation, this is also something that needs to be done when it gets created. And then one little note is that I think they also mentioned that they allow people to use organizations, to allow people outside your organization to join is moving to that advanced section of the space creation settings. So I thought that was already in there anyways under advanced, but I guess they're just putting a category in it. I guess there wasn't a category yet for allow people outside your organization to join. So that will be just a visualization change of those things.
UI organizational refresh.
Yeah. So very minor there.
I keep going back and forth on this whole posting announcement only space. I'm trying to figure out what I would use it for. I guess like company announcements, things like that. But I also kind of want to give people internally the ability to reply and discuss said updates. So then I would end up posting it in the group chat that I have for the whole company in a mid-sized company anyway. I guess in a larger company to only have announcements only makes more sense.
Yeah, I had a Hangout group before that was being used just like for announcements only purposes. It was when we were like notifying our call center staff for certain things that were happening and incidents that were occurring, and we didn't want everyone responding to that because it would ping essentially everyone in all their phones and all that stuff. So
that's fair.
It was really meant for managers and IT staff and the call center leads to.
So you do
want
to,
in there, and
if you have something that's like org wide, you do want to post it in kind of both spaces, so that if you have people muted the group with all the chatter in it, the coffee shop kind of thing, then they won't necessarily see it. But if you have one that's just for announcements, then you'll get them in both places. All right, makes more sense, I guess.
Yeah, and we use them similarly in Slack channels, where again it's execs that are posting certain updates and. I think the way that it works in Slack is that you can respond to a post that someone makes, but you can't post a new post.
Oh, like in the thread.
So I don't know if that's threading. Yeah, so I don't know if that's how that's going to work in here. I don't know if it mentions that. Message posting and other capabilities. Yeah, so message posting. So I don't know for reply in thread.
It says only space managers can post in this space, so I'm guessing that means nobody can write to it. Interesting that they would still have the chat bar show up, though, for just members. I would have left it out. But I guess that's too much of a UI lift for them.
I'm looking at seeing... Yeah, I'm trying to see this posting is limited, right? So you get that little icon there that only space managers can post, okay?
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah, so it looks like you can't respond as a non-manager to a post. Okay, rollout for this one. Rapid release domains are going to start to see this starting as of this week, Monday the 17th, on a gradual rollout up to 15 days for visibility. Scheduled release domains, we'll start to see this on the 5th of May, on a gradual rollout up to 15 days for visibility there. That is for the web rollout pace, by the way. For mobile rollout pace, this is starting on the 1st of May for both rapid and release domains, and on a gradual rollout up to 15 days for visibility there. So coming out sooner to the web, and a little bit later to mobile device, and available to all Workspace customers, but not available to those with personal Google accounts.
Not only is communicate better with a modernized Google chat missing from this post, but posts are out of order on the update blog, on the recap post.
Oh, interesting.
The next one I have on there, because I usually just have that open, but I'm looking at them side by side with the show notes. And the next one is fine-tune access to data with additional options for access approvals. But on the RSS, it's introducing new collaboration and flexibility features on sites. Weird.
Yeah. So that's what I've got. Yeah, that's what I've got right now is introducing new collaboration and flexibility features for Google Sites. So better ways to kind of see when someone else is working on that site with you. So the new collaborators cursor will appear when the site editors are typing within a text tile, and this kind of just helps you know where who else is working on that page while it's being edited. So you can also display your content with some more flexibility here by adding page frames and adjusting site width for desktop viewing with some custom themes. There's some page frame colors being customizable now with some width options as well. And then finally, there's some alignment options to buttons, allowing you to make those left, center, or right within a group. And the align buttons are there to can shrink to fit the text, and allow a button to be narrower than the group containing it. So just making things a little bit more flexible there in terms of the layout and design. For this rollout here, there's a wide range of dates in terms of rollout for each of these features, and scheduled release domain and rapid release domains all have different times and dates for those. I guess I'll run through these here real quick. There's 6 different dates and times for everything here. So collaborators cursor is already rolled out for rapid release domains. Scheduled release domains start this on the 24th of April. Full rollout there for 1 to 3 days of visibility. For the page frame and customizable site width, rapid release domains, we'll see that start on the 11th of April on a gradual rollout up to 15 days for visibility on that one. And then scheduled release domains starts that on the 25th of April with a full rollout lasting 1 to 3 days. Button alignment is the next one and final one. Rapid release domains started that on the 10th of April on our gradual rollout up to 15 days for visibility, and then scheduled release domains sees the start on the 24th of April with a full rollout happening in just 1 to 3 days. And available to all Workspace customers, as well as those personal Google accounts as well. There we go. Next is the ability to fine-tune access to data with additional options for access approvals. So this allows, this is for specific Google Workspace customers, by the way. I don't really know anyone that has this, but personally, I don't know anyone that has it. Of course, there's some out there that do have it. It's going to be a very limited subset of Workspace customers that are probably listening to this, if any, that are listening to these episodes here. But
it's an add-on to Enterprise Plus.
Oh yeah, it's kind of part of like, it's almost more like a GCP add-on. It's just the Google Workspace Assured Controls. An add-on for Enterprise Plus customers, and it is definitely not a cheap add-on because it's costly. This is essentially where you're limiting access into your workspace environment for U.S. persons only, things like that. Very strict requirements in terms of access controls and logging. So this is going to give some additional options for those customers to specify. Google support personnel can indicate which specific product and data they need access to. For example, Gmail data only instead of all workspace data. Some access duration can be set. Control in terms of revoking previously granted access if no longer available, and then context where you can denote the reason an access request was approved or denied, or why a previously approved request was revoked to streamline the process for future requests. Rollout for this one is going to be starting on the 11th of April for both rapid release and scheduled release domains, on an extended rollout up to 15 or potentially longer than 15 days for feature visibility on that one. And as we said, availability is very limited availability, only to those assured control workspace customers. Next is one relating to classrooms, where practice sets in Google Classrooms is now generally available. So this is something that was previously announced in a beta back in March of 2022. And this one is just now making it available to all education customers. So available to Google Workspace Education Plus and Education Teaching and Learning Upgrade customers, not available to anyone else. So it won't be available to those of us are on the workspace, like business enterprise side, that have access to Classroom. It's only available to the education SKUs. And rollout for that one that's available it's available now to all customers on that platform. Won't talk too much about that, but because we already talked about that, but kind of students getting real-time feedback and on practice sets, things like that. Next, streamlining file organization with new Google Drive location picker. This is, making it a little bit easier to pick and choose where you are going to move a file. So this is, a nice little change to the UI. Unfortunately, our little animated image here is a little bit small. I was trying
You
to
read my mind. They were doing so well with the posts
here.
here.
I know, right?
The screenshot size.
Yeah.
Brutal.
But suggested starred in all locations are now going to be an option when you are selecting where a file goes. I wonder if this is also going to show up in the Gmail Drive, like when you have a file attachment in Gmail, and you say save to Drive, and you have that location picker there, because I think there was some differences between what I was seeing there at one point and what I was seeing in Drive, in the Drive interface.
Could be.
So I hope they didn't forget to update the location picker for within Gmail. So
I imagine it'll come. It just may not launch with this.
Yeah, I wonder. Yeah. So as I said, there'll be 3 new tabs there. So you'll notice suggested start in all locations when you are navigating there into where you want to pick where files will be stored. So there's some details also for the selected folder paths, which is an option to create a new folder, and an image notification for moving something into an empty folder. There's some suggested locations and the option to reject the suggestion, which immediately removes it from the list. Some streamlined navigation that adds an inline button to complete the action of moving a file in one click, and a label if a folder is view only, and explains why you might face an error when moving a file, such as not being the owner of a file. There you go.
Yep. Had a recent question about that. Somewhat related to it is somebody was asking, well, who's the owner of this file? And it's like, well, it's in a shared drive, so the shared drive is the owner of the file. But this was in regard to a individual who had added protected cells in a Google Sheet, and the manager of said person, who's no longer here, wanting to remove said protected. And it was like, well, you can only do that if you're the owner. Well, who's the owner? A shared drive. Oops. So I think we're going to have to move that out of the drive, become the owner, change those, and move it back or something. I don't know.
Really?
It's not letting us.
That...
it's not letting us change the protected cells. That's the word I'm looking for.
Okay, so even though a manager of the shared drive is trying to take that action, only the creator of the file is able to do that, and that person has since been removed.
Yep.
Or their account no longer exists, or
I believe that their account no longer exists.
Okay.
So that was an interesting one that came out this week that I was like, who owns this? And then I looked it up. I was like, oh, it's in a shared drive. So still some quirky things here.
So that fix resolved it then. So that
I don't know. We haven't tried it yet. I'm waiting for the manager to provide written approval that that's what they want to happen before we go and, start playing around with stuff like that.
Yeah, because if they're the manager of the shared drive, they should be able to do that themselves and just drag it out and put it back in.
Yeah, they can. But I offered to do it for them because I'm a nice guy.
Okay. Got it. So nice of you, Jesse.
Indeed.
Yeah.
And then they're like, well, I'll just keep it in my drive permanently. I'm like, you're missing the point of shared drives. No. Please don't.
Yeah, please move it back. Okay. That's an interesting one to test. That was protected cells, you said, right?
Yeah, protected cells in a shared drive document.
Yeah. Interesting. And I wonder if that
user
file
who's no longer here.
I wonder if that file was created in my drive first and then dragged in there, or if it was
Most
created
likely.
in the shared drive first.
It was most likely created in somebody's individual folder and moved in.
Yeah. And I wonder if that makes a difference too.
Mm-hmm.
Because if it was created originally in the shared drive, if that would not have had the impact that it has if it was done in my drive.
Yeah. Anyway, really random edge use case there.
Yeah. That's what we're here to talk about, I guess. That's kind of weird things, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. So rollout for this one. This one is going to be hitting the rapid release domains starting the 12th of April already. That's a gradual rollout up to 15 days for visibility. And then scheduled release domains, we'll see this starting next week on the 26th of April on a gradual rollout up to 15 days for the visibility there as well. And available to all Workspace and G Suite Basic and Business, as well as users with personal Google accounts. Next, we have some new community features for chat and an update on currents. So this is kind of summarizing, that previous announcements that I talked about with the announcement only, but it's also quite a few other things. So they're kind of talking about the transition, of currents over to chat, and beginning on the 5th of July, that currents will no longer be available. Workspace admins can export those currents, export current data using takeout before August 8th. And then beginning August 8th, currents data will no longer be available for download. And, as we are, departing, saying goodbye here, as it says to currents, the investment there in Google Chat is continuing, so that features that we're seeing in currents can start to come over into the spaces and in chat. So there is there's just kind of a nice little timeline here of what has been happening in in chat over the years, from 2022 up until now, gives you kind of like a visual roadmap of what is coming. And part of some of the up and coming features for 2023 is that you're going to have post view metrics coming soon, a full chat API available. I think that is in beta right now. And then Google Group Sync with Spaces for membership management, and then also space management tools in the admin console. So I'm actually already seeing some of the space management tools in the admin console in preview mode. I think some things are already showing up there.
And I saw a request for alpha for Groups Sync, but it was actually funny. Yeah. I saw that first, and then I saw this post, and I was like, "Oh, okay, that's what they're talking about." There's more details on that. It's very limited too for who can join that alpha. It was like you can't have any groups with PII, you can't have financial information or anything like that. So it was like, I don't know if I want to test this as much. Let's test it in a different account with less active, in production.
So, right, yeah. One thing that we do see in this this announcement here is that we saw that the announcement only space doesn't allow those non-space managers to respond to the on the inline threading, but you can react to the post. So it does allow you to react there and put your favorite emoji on that post that someone has access to post.
And it also shows that it is categorized as announcements under the name of the group, which I thought was interesting.
Yeah. There you go.
Yeah. I'll be using this. I think it's good. I like it.
Yeah. Next is that they talked about the inline threading, custom emojis. That stuff has already come out. And the capacity is up to 8,000 members in a chat space. So I don't think quite the scale that Currents had, unfortunately. So I wonder what they're doing with that, because I know there's some Currents groups that I have that are, like 20,000 users.
For example. Don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I'm looking at the biggest. There's a G Suite community with 13,900 members. There's another one with 13. Oh, it's the same one. And I think the Google Classroom community's got 28,000 members in it. So Google Workspace for Education is like 38,000 members. So I'm not sure what's going to happen with those communities there, because capacity-wise, it's just not the same as Currents. Yeah. I wonder what's happening there. I know a lot of the classroom admins are working with Google and trying to figure out how to transition those communities over. So,
I don't know. We'll dig into that. Ask some of our folks in the community.
Yeah. Yep. So, I kind of talked about some of those upcoming features there in the roadmap that we see coming up, and really this is just kind of a more informational post other than anything. The only kind of key dates to take note of here in this post was that the takeout is only going to be available until August 8th. So keep that date in mind if you do need to export out anything from Currents in case you can't transition those over into Spaces.
Clock's ticking.
Yeah. And a lot of resources here in this article. So kind of links through to all those different features and functionalities that were previously announced. Gives you a little summary here of 13 different updates that have occurred already. So check that out in the article if you are curious about all those feature enhancements to chat and Spaces. Next, we have that ability to set the default label values for files in Google Drive. So this is expanding the automated classification capabilities of Drive labels to support default label values in addition to that current admin ability to apply labels by default. So with automated classification, label admins can construct rules that add labels when files are created or when file ownership is transferred. So this also helps, which just helps organizations kind of ensure labels are applied to the files at file creation, and using labels there can enforce certain. You can use labels to enforce certain policies through DLP. So kind of ensures compliance in that regard there. Rollout for this one. This one started the 12th of April for both rapid release and scheduled release domains, up to 15 days for visibility. And this is available to Work Business Standard plus Enterprise Essentials Standard and plus customers, as well as Education Plus and Education Standard customers. So not available to Workspace Essentials, Business Starter, Education Fundamentals, Teaching Learning Upgrade, nonprofits, and frontline users, as well as the G Suite Basic and Business customers, nor is available to users with personal Google accounts. Last is that communicate better with a modernized Google Chat. This is the announcement about chat coming to use the Material Design 3 visualizations, and some updates here in terms of fonts, colors, layouts, panel sizing, and more. You'll notice those changes in the top app bar, in the left navigation menu, the main message view, compose setup, new topic button, and the threaded panel with direct messages and spaces. Again, I mean, looking at this, to me, it looks the same. I don't know what the differences are. Maybe we've had the modern view for a while already, but, announcement-wise, it says it was rolling out on the 13th of April, on a gradual roll up to 15 days for both as rapid release and scheduled release domains. So I don't know why it looks so similar.
I think because you and I have
for a very long time.
You and I have spent so long in the alphas and betas. I do see some things are different here. Curvier sides, curvier buttons, a little bit updated font. Yeah, I see it. It's not. Yeah. Not all my accounts have the new interface yet, so that's why I guess I'm able to see the difference between them, and you're not.
Okay.
This screenshot actually looks a little bit like it looks. I'm trying to remember if we've seen this one. This looks like the original screenshot. Yeah, I've got to go check the blog post that they did announcing the unified workspace. I feel like this is that.
Okay.
Maybe not. I don't know. I think it is.
No.
It's also small.
It's not too bad.
It's not too bad. It's usable. Not too bad. It's usable.
Yeah, this is like, it fits in my windows. Yeah, it's a lot. I think it's like, it's the right medium between, the other ones are too small. There's some that are really big. This is a happy medium, I think.
Yeah, well, when you're putting a small file like that into a 4K video, it doesn't look as great.
True. Okay. And that wraps up the updates for this week. So that's all of them.
Indeed. On to the news. Let me pull this all open. Lots of news here. I got a little comfy while I was listening to you go through all that, so I gotta sit back up here and wake up so that I can talk. All right. Google Bard, start things off back in the AI world. Let us know if we're like way too much in the AI deep end here. If you want me to make this a different show, or just do an AI update, or only talk about the news in a different update. Let us know what you think in the comments.
Yeah, I mean, maybe I have a feeling it's just my preference in general, because I think we're not going to get too much feedback, but we should probably limit it to maybe 2 AI updates a week.
Except that there's so many things happening.
Well, I know, unless it really stands out. Like, a lot of it is just really rehashing what's already happening, right?
Right.
So unless it's kind of something new. So I'm looking at, for example, maybe, I don't know, the experiment updates, changelog, that seems somewhat interesting, to see that. But
yeah,
I don't know. Go on, carry on.
So Bard is getting a changelog in true googly engineering fashion. They're going to be adding updates here, and they're going to be adding a change. Ooh, here's what we should do. We should start a Google Bard recap show. And just go over the what do you call it, the updates to Bard and all the other AI stuff, news around Bard and generative apps and whatnot. No, I'm just kidding. But anyway, basically, kind of following, I don't know that actually does ChatGPT have a changelog one? I don't think so. It does have versioning that everybody knows what it is, but I don't think I've seen an actual changelog out there.
I'm adding Bard to our list of other releases.
There you go.
I'll add this to the top.
Okay, so some big stuff here
Smart.
in this post is some of the updates that they've done is that Google is improving or increasing its capabilities in math and logic responses. And for the coders in the room, coding capabilities are coming soon, according to Google. So you can check out the experiment updates changelog directly in the link in the article here, or you can view it in the side navigation drawer.
I do like whoever made the experiment updates posts or the format, because they do have the date format and kind of like engineer, ISO standard format there,
Yep.
year, month, day.
Yep.
Which I really like. That's like AI-ish, right?
It's
what other format would a
classic
computer
Googly.
put it in, right?
Yep. Exactly. It'd be pretty amazing if the if Bard was generating its own changelog. Before long, Bard will be writing the Google Workspace recap posts.
Yeah, summarize all the code, like commits from the last month.
Hey,
right?
that's not nothing, pal. Documentation is a pain in the ass. If I can get Bard to just do all my documentation for me, more power to you. Go for it. That being said, I did ask Bard what Google Workspace best practices there are, and it gave some okay options, but then search-related topics, one of them is, what is the disadvantage of Google Workspace? So, good job, Bard. Let's not promote the other. I mean, it's not that bad, but still. I found it funny. All right, on to the next update here. This is just a Verge article and also a 9 to 5 article with a little bit more information and discussing the topic of what we already discussed here is that Google Chat is getting Material Design 3. So if you're interested in just reading through those and seeing what those articles say about it, go ahead and take a look at those. I'm not going to go into that because we've already discussed it. Not disgusted, sorry. Google PR has been rocking and rolling, trying to, I guess, pick up steam and make back some of the ground that they lost to Microsoft and ChatGPT over the whole AI thing and get to be a dominant force in the conversation around it. And the way that they're doing that looks to be a very multi-pronged approach, but they're bringing in some real legacy hardcore shows here. 60 Minutes, and then Katie Couric hosting an interview series of short 5-minute videos on the Think with Google podcast page, on a YouTube page. This isn't a strategy I've really seen Google doing before, so it's interesting. I think it's really trying to appeal to the masses because Google is if you watch the 60 Minute special, which I can get to in our 10th update here, but preview is Sundar Pichai says, we want lots of government regulation around this. This is scary stuff. And you're not going to, usually you don't see tech executives kind of championing for that type of a thing because regulation slows things down and it restricts what we can do, and sometimes it's good and sometimes it's disastrous, but in something as new as AI, it's very interesting to see them going down that route, and they're not the only ones. There are others who are doing it, but I think that as part of their approach and strategy for going for the mass market opportunities here to talk about it is that they want to stay in the forefront of the conversation and remind people, hey, we've been doing this a long time and we want to help this shepherd this forward in the best way possible. So pretty interesting stuff here. But anyway, there's a couple of really good interviews, short interviews at the link here over on YouTube on the Think with Google YouTube page called Future Ready. So go and check those out. And then, obviously, Google just wants to keep outdoing us, so they have a new song, the software supply chain song called I'm Going to Production. And I gotta say, this is way more catchy than it has any right to be. So well done to whoever produced this. It's a lot of fun, and it's a short song, but, going to production. So go and check that out over on YouTube. Now, another one, this is behind the GCC link, so if you're not a member, you're not going to be able to see it, but I do have the direct link in the show notes here, is a survey about Google Chat. And I've been seeing, I don't know if it's the same survey or a different survey, but I've been getting prompted in Google Chat almost regularly, not necessarily daily, but at least weekly or once or twice a week, asking me what I think about chat. How do I like chat in Google Chat? And so I filled it out a couple of times, filled out a couple of things here and there, but for the most part, I think this is probably going to go more in depth because it is done through a service called Tech Validate, and they want to know if they're doing a good job here. So we've got opinions; they want to hear them. So definitely go and fill out that survey. Next is CTL, which is a kind of an affordable Chromebook, more education targeting Chromebook company. They've been around a long time, and they are pretty dominant in the education space. And they have a proper contender here to go up against the mighty, powerful. I had one around here somewhere. The Chromebox 4 from Asus, and this is the CBX3 from CTL, and they make good hardware, and it's actually not terribly expensive, and this thing has a 13th gen, that is the current brand new generation of Intel chips, Core i7. Now, it only has 8 gig of RAM, which I was disappointed by. I wanted, for $1,000 and an i7, I want 16. Oh, look, you can equip with up to 16 gig of RAM and larger SSDs. I didn't see that when I was going on their website, so I'm going to have to dig further into that. But I've been waiting for them to come out with a new model for a while because, I mean, competition is great, and Asus really has a great device on their hands, but they do get a little pricey, also into the $1,000 price range when you try and spec them up like this. And I think that this is has more options and is possibly more repairable as well. So definitely check this out. They skipped the 12th gen model and went directly to 13th, and I think that the Asus is on the 12th gen processors. So good move by CTL here to catch up and then jump ahead. And this is the first ever Raptor Lake Chrome OS device. So good stuff there. Apparently, they are on sale for pre-order, so go and pre-order those if you are interested. According to Chrome Unboxed here, the device retails at $1,061, but if you pre-order it, you can get it for $849. So, really, really awesome price for the kind of performance you're going to get out of that. Go and check that out. All right. Lost my pace here on my show notes. Here we are. Okay. Next is a 0-day, the first of 2023. This is from Bleeping Computer, and apparently Google has released an emergency Chrome security update to address the first 0-day vulnerability. They're aware that it exists in the wild, and this is the update for it. So, new version is rolling out to users in the stable desktop channel and will reach the entire user base over the coming days or weeks. And if you are in charge of rolling those out, you may want to make sure it gets pushed out, and maybe remind your users, hey, restart Chrome, if you don't do it on the regular, just to be able to get that update, because 0 days are not fun. So good on Google for always staying up to date on those and acting on those and releasing updates rather quickly. All right, speaking of security here, new report coming out of Google says that not all of us have the best passwords, and that nation-state actors are taking advantage of your weak passwords and going after their Google Cloud installation. So, this is a recurring problem. We've had it with AWS, we've had it with Azure, we've had it with all of our cloud services and non-cloud services for years. People, your passwords suck. You should be using Password Manager. You should be using something to generate better passwords or get better passwords. And I don't mean all of you, our wonderful, lovely listeners. You have the best passwords in the world, and they are, 85 characters and incredibly complex. But your users, on the other hand, probably not so much.
Yeah.
And by users, I mean even other admins of the Google Cloud accounts here, because that's who these actors are going after. So maybe take another look at your passwords and make sure that you've got some really strong minimal requirements in there for your users and your admins.
Did I talk about the concerted effort that people have been making on our domain to try to get gift cards paid to other people? That I talked to you about that?
Oh, no, you're getting hit by the gift card scams again? Those go around every once in a while.
Oh, and this is not just like emails. This is like they're now getting our phone numbers and texting us messages, SMS messages, and being like, hey, it's so-and-so CEO. Can you go? I'm doing this stuff for our... very specific, though. It says... it said, I need these gift cards for members and staff, which our company is very specific. We have members and also staff,
right?
Both. So it's super specific to our company. It's not just a general, message. And then they're also contacting our members who aren't even employees, but they somehow, found out who our members are.
Interesting.
Our community.
Interesting.
Targeted them. Yeah.
Yeah, those keep going
So
around, and those are tricky because a lot of times it's, hey, it's the CEO, it's so and so, and most of those people haven't spoken to
yeah,
the CEO directly, or if they, if they do, like it says something like, hey, I'm in a meeting and I need you to take care of this real quick. It's the
right,
CEO. A lot of people are just going to jump, and it says, I need you to go out to buy these gift cards, and it
yeah,
almost it
yeah.
almost happened to us. Where the executive
It's like
assistant had basically had it was like a perfect storm, and they always are, right? When you fall for those,
yeah,
it's always the perfect storm. But she had just been chatting with the CEO on Google Chat, and then like it really felt like he was just picking up the conversation, and he was in a meeting, which he very often is. And then she said, all right, you sure you want me to go and buy gift cards? And she said this to him in person when he came out to take coffee from her, and he said, what gift cards? And that's what stopped it. And it was like, whew, that was close, and so after that,
jeez,
we initiated extensive training across the organization saying, hey,
yeah,
this is a thing.
yeah,
This is a problem. Get used to it. Don't click on it.
yeah,
Don't act on it. If you have a
right,
question like that, go directly to your normal way of communicating, such as Google Chat internally, and chat them or their assistant directly or whomever you're dealing with and say, hey, is this a real request?
yeah,
Just confirm it. We won't penalize you. We won't yell at you. You won't get in trouble. Please confirm. It's not annoying. It's necessary. So, yeah, this one's not going to die. It just keeps going around. Go out and buy $5,000 in Apple gift cards and upload it to the site so that we can distribute them to the employees with a new holiday bonus or whatever it is. So yeah, good times. All right. Next topic here is that surprising absolutely no one, if you've been paying attention to all of the AI stuff here, is that Google is working on AI-infused Google search. Surprise! Not. They are calling it Muggy, and this is under a additional threat here. Obviously, we've got the Bing threat going on, but an additional threat as Samsung, and maybe this is just a ploy to get more money out of Google for making making Google the default search engine on Samsung's phones, but apparently they're considering, quote unquote considering, moving to Bing as their default search engine on their phones. Now, Samsung is, I think, the single largest Android phone manufacturer in the world, so that's a pretty big one, and I know that Google pays Apple somewhere in the realm of $1 billion or a few $1 billion for the privilege of being the default search engine on iPhones. So I don't know if Samsung is getting any of that, additional handout, but they certainly probably want some, as everybody does these days. And essentially, Google is under attack from multiple approaches, from multiple fronts here is what I'm getting at. And on the search side for putting AI in, if you listen to the 60 Minutes episode, which I'll talk about in a minute here, Sundar says specifically, yes, we're working on that, yes, it's coming, etc., and has said elsewhere that as well. According to the New York Times article here, Google is, quote, updating the existing search engine with AI features as part of Project Magi, which is a sorcerer and vaguely in line with the Bard naming-wise. It's said to offer a, quote, far more personalized experience than the company's current service. So Magi would allow search to answer questions about software coding, write code based on a user's request, which Google has the technology for with Palm, P-A-L-M. Users have the ability to ask follow-up questions, while it would feature ads under generated results. So, not surprising. What is interesting here is that Google currently has 160 designers, engineers, and executives working full-time and quickly iterating on Magi. So this is still part of the red alert, the code red, all hands on deck, full court press, whatever, analogy you want to use here. Freudian slip.
I mean, I'm
Search
sure
is
at some
not
point it
dead,
could be
but yes, eulogy
for
for search.
someone, some platform. Yeah,
Exactly. We'll need a eulogy for whoever doesn't win this fight.
yeah, exactly. Yeah,
But in theory, maybe we're going to see an announcement about this in May for Google I/O. Maybe, probably, we'll see. Google does have a history of making announcements like that at I/O in the past, and unfortunately, they don't deliver on those so quickly in the past. So hopefully, that won't be the case here. That being said, there's a lot of people who say we're iterating and innovating too fast on AI and AI's development and implementations, and some say that we're going too slow. So I think that Google's really working hard to stay as much in the middle of that as they possibly can. But if they don't iterate on search and get it right soon, there's going to be hell to pay. Not for me. I don't care. I love AI. I want AI everywhere. But, and then there's some additional details in the Engadget article and a Verge article. If you want those, I'll provide the links below as well. Yeah, Steve.
I'm just hoping that the little sound blips that I'm hearing are not going to impact the recording, because I just heard it right there.
Your notification sound blips? Did
No, like you went silent as you were speaking.
Oh, I've been wondering if there's something funky with my internet, because you froze up a couple of times, and I can see that my some of my I've got a ping going for days at a time here, and I think that it's time to reboot my router or something, because it's nothing major. There's no drops, but some of the TLS time is getting a little long. So I think
that's what it is.
Could be. That being said, it should not be an issue, because we're using Riverside, and they're not sponsoring us at the moment, but Riverside does do local downloads, local recording and then upload to the cloud. So I should get this fully intact, even if there is drops in the internet connection. So thank you, Riverside.
Something's going on. Someone's a fan. Is that a fan?
No, that's the street cleaner going by.
Street? Oh, wow.
That's the problem of recording during the day, folks, is that, some trucks are louder than others, and they're certainly out during the day and not at 11 o'clock at night or 8 o'clock at night when we usually record. So,
yeah, I heard that one.
All right. This is crazy. Google's on 60 Minutes. I didn't think I would see the day. The title here is The AI Revolution, Google's Developers on the Future of Artificial Intelligence. And fun fact about 60 Minutes, the actual content is 27 minutes, because the rest of it is all ads, I assume. So over here on YouTube, you can watch what I believe is the full episode in 27 minutes and not 1 hour. It's already on YouTube, got 650,000 views, and I imagine that their reach on television is even larger than that. But I think that Google really got their bang for their buck here with the doing a PR, appearance on 60 Minutes. But it does. It goes into and talks with Sundar Pichai in a rare interview about what Google's working on, and shows off some of their internal labs, both in not in Cupertino, sorry. That's Apple, in San Francisco and Sunnyvale specifically, and in London, which is where their other AI research laboratory is. And they go into some interesting things, including showing off for the first time text to video. And obviously there are some serious restrictions in play here. The text to video will not create people. Hands down. So anybody who wanted to use it to create a certain not suitable for work content, you can't. Not on this one. And it does do animals. I assume when it does get released to a small test base, there are people who are going to try and make it not suitable for work, because that's what everybody always does. But I guess we'll have to wait and see on that one. But there's a lot of research that has been going on, behind the scenes for a decade here or more, and we're finally getting to start to see some of it, and hopefully some of it is going to start to be released here. But this PR tour, if you will, seems to be, as I was saying before, on the topic of, hey, we're experts in this, we've been doing this a long time, here's what we got, and here's what's coming. Just because ChatGPT is super cool, don't think that we've completely lost, and don't sell all of your stock in Google. So, but I thought this was fascinating. Any interview with Sundar, any time that he appears, in an appearance publicly is, in my opinion, worth watching, given that he is our fearless leader of both Google and Alphabet, which is, hey, it's all Google at this point. And definitely from the business side of things, as well as understanding a little bit into the mind of our leadership, go and check that out. And that's all I got on that. Bunch of YouTube stuff, bunch of huge news, long episode, over an hour of recording. All right, that's all for this week. Send us your questions and comments. Drop your questions or comments in the chat below. You know what to do. Thumbs up. Give us a subscribe, whatever platform you're listening to. We appreciate all of you being here. Please share with your friends. We're trying to get to 1,000 subscribers over on YouTube, so if you could share with your friends and hit the subscribe button, I would appreciate it, or we would appreciate it. Have a great week, and we'll see you next time on Workspace Recap.